Hello friends, I'm sure a lot of you out there preparing for CA Final, you want to score exemption in strategic financial management. Some of you know how to do it, some of you need some guidance. Some of the students are worried about how to approach the subject. So I thought of making a video to do an analysis from the exam point of view and also give you a few tips on how to approach this subject. So let me start with my own experience as a CA student. That was like 10-12 years back. SFM was one of my favorite subjects along with FR. And I used to look forward to and enjoy learning the different concepts in SFM. So the first thing that you need to understand before you approach SFM is to discard the worries in your mind and enjoy the subject. The second thing, which generally students oversee, and mostly you are not told to do that also, is you learn a lot of concepts in your CA intermediate, which you will be using throughout SFM preparation. And because of your articleship, you don't get exposure in learning the concepts that we learned in financial management. So first thing that you need to do is, you go back, revisit the intermediate syllabus and learn two topics which is very important and which you apply throughout SFM. One is time value of money and the second one is capital budgeting. Let me tell you, time value of money and capital budgeting are applied throughout the syllabus of SFM. So you should be well versed in that. Third thing is about how you manage your time. I understand that everybody does not have the same time. So different students have different quantum of time for this subject. Whatever be the time available with you, I want you to ideally share it in this format. 30% of the time, don't reduce it, 30% of the time I want you to devote towards learning the subject and understanding the concept. Then 50% of the time, go and practice a lot of questions. And 20%, this is what makes all the difference, revise whatever you learned again and again. So before we go to the analysis of the subject from the exam point of view, I want you to remember the three things that I told you for preparing for SFM. First, discard all your worries and enjoy the subject. 2, go back, revisit CA intermediate and learn time value of money and capital budgeting. And 3, the 30-50-20 rule. So shall we go and understand how to prepare the subject of SFM? The first thing, earlier, before the new syllabus was introduced, SFM was mostly a practical paper. But after the new syllabus was introduced, SFM cannot be called entirely as a practical paper. A lot of theory questions are also asked. To understand the weightage, I did an analysis and I found out that 80% of the questions are practical questions, but 20% of the questions are theory questions. Now you should understand, you cannot skip the theory questions like what you do in intermediate. Because SFM question paper is divided into 5 questions of 20 marks each. In that, always there will be one sub-question of 4 marks, which is theory questions. So you cannot skip the theory part. So what I would say is, I would encourage you to give sufficient time for preparing for the theory questions also. That is going to make all the difference in your final performance. And the subject of SFM itself is divided into 14 chapters. Now, when you look at 14 chapters as a whole, it looks big. But what I do as a faculty and as a person who understands the problem as a CA student is, I divide the 14 chapters into 6 parts, 6 Beckets. So in the first Becket, I have put security valuation. In the second Becket, I have put 2 chapters. One is portfolio management and another is mutual fund. The third Becket has derivative analysis and interest rate risk management. The fourth Becket has a very important part, which is foreign currency risk management and international financial management. The fifth Becket has mergers and acquisitions and corporate valuation. And the sixth Becket, which is a residual Becket according to me, I have clubbed 5 chapters. First one is financial policy and corporate strategy, which is chapter 1 in your SFM. Then chapter 2, risk management. Chapter 3, security analysis. Chapter 6, securitization. And chapter 14, the last chapter, startup finance. These 5 chapters are highly theoretical chapters. I have clubbed all these 5 and put in Becket number 6. Now I will go to each Becket separately. Moving on to the first Becket, we have only one chapter in that, security valuation. So in that Becket, in that part, questions will be asked for 16 marks regularly in all the exams. 100% of the questions are practical questions. Now there are 3 key topics which I want you to focus on. You have to study everything, but I always mention 3 key topics which will help you in the exam. The first one is equity valuation, second one is bond valuation, and third one is bond immunization. 3 topics you have to focus in this Becket number 1. In Becket 2, which has portfolio management and mutual funds, questions are usually asked for 20 marks from this part. There are 2 chapters. Mostly practical questions are only asked. Very rarely theory questions also might come. You cannot completely brush it aside. Sometimes theory questions will also come. So the 3 topics which you need to focus on is calculating the return of a portfolio or a mutual fund, calculating the risk of a portfolio or a mutual fund, both standard deviation as well as beta, and last, how to calculate the net asset value of a mutual fund. Moving on to the third part, which has derivative analysis and interest rate risk management. I just want to add one point. Questions are asked for 16 marks from this part, but let me tell you, you have to give due importance to this part also, because in this part, it acts as the base for the next part, which is foreign currency risk management. So understanding derivatives is very, very important. So usually questions are asked for 16 marks. Almost always the questions are practical questions. Again, occasionally, very, very rarely, some theory questions might come. And in this, you have to learn how to calculate the payoff of derivatives, and you have to learn how to hedge your risk using derivatives, and last is how to do interest rate swaps. Moving on to the fourth part, and this part I believe is the most important part, which is foreign currency risk management and international financial management. Questions are regularly asked for 20 marks on an average. 100% of the questions are practical. Now you need to learn the key topics in this are the currency conversion, hedging using currency derivatives, and evaluating international investments. Moving on to the fifth part, which has corporate valuation and mergers and acquisitions. The silver lining of this part is many of the things that you learn here you would have already learned in financial reporting subject. And this part is very important because questions will usually come for 20 marks from this part, and one of the most important Beckets of all the 6 Beckets. Now you need to learn the free cash flow based valuation. You need to learn how to calculate the swap ratio, and also you need to learn how to calculate the merger gains. And coming to the last part, as I already told you, it is a purely a clubbing of theoretical chapters. You have 5 chapters in this. Usually questions will come for around 24 marks, but you will have to attend for 20 marks. And mostly all the questions will be theory questions. Occasionally some practical questions might come. And since these 5 chapters are divided into small topics, I don't want to mention which are the important topics. Basically, I will ask you to cover all the 5 chapters in detail. You can cover it very, very easily. Now, probably all of you remember when you were doing your cost accounting subject in your CA intermediate, you would have learned a topic called as ABC analysis in material cost. So what I did was, I did an ABC analysis of this SFM subject also. So I categorized the chapters into 3 categories. In the first category, it is A category, which gives lot of marks with limited efforts. Category B, you have to give an average efforts and you get decent number of marks. And category C are little bit unimportant topics. So going on to category A, I have 5 chapters from category A, which has security valuation, and then you have foreign currency risk management, Third, you have derivatives. Fourth, you have mergers and acquisitions. And fifth, you have corporate valuation. Just 5 chapters. This 5 chapters, the good news is, if you prepare this 5 chapters, questions on an average for 62 marks is asked from this 5 chapters. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you focus, if you prepare this 5 chapters thoroughly, definitely, let me tell you, you are definitely going to pass SFM. Now we have to go to category B, which is, I won't call it as very important, but they are also important chapters. So I have divided the category B into 2 parts. One is the practical chapters and then the theoretical chapters. In the practical chapters, I have 4 chapters: portfolio management, mutual funds, interest rate risk management, and international financial management. And in the theory part, the 5 theory topics, theory chapters which I told you earlier, are included in this. And the good news or the funny news is, in category C, which is not very important, there is nothing, because everything in this syllabus is important from exam point of view. There is no chapter which you can conveniently skip. So there is nothing in chapter C, the category C, which is unimportant part. So you have to try and learn almost all the topics. Now this is a broad analysis of how to prepare for SFM. But I just want to tell you, as somebody who is very passionate about SFM, there are a lot of students I have seen who are very passionate about this subject. They enjoy this subject. Now, if you want to really understand the subject of SFM, you have to do 3 things which is not mentioned in your syllabus. 1, go and open a demat account. Invest small amount, whatever you can, you invest and start trading in shares. You might lose money, you might gain money, that is a different thing, but you will learn how a share trading or a derivative trading is going to happen. And second thing which I myself did during my articleship days, I used a part of my stipend to start investing in mutual funds. Now again, the important thing is not about profiting from mutual fund. It is about when you invest, you analyze the mutual fund and you learn how to analyze the mutual fund, which will help you in understanding the subject a lot. The third one, an unpopular suggestion which most of the faculty will tell you, go and read financial news. Nowadays, I will not suggest newspapers, it will come in your mobile itself. I will suggest you read as many financial news as possible, but you should not stop with reading the financial news. You should try to connect what you read with what you learned in the subject. If you do these 3 things, let me tell you, you are not going to be a good performer in SFM. Rather, you are going to become a master in SFM. And that is what, as a faculty, will make me proud. So, I am wishing all of you a very best of luck, and I hope because of your efforts and blessings of the Almighty, all of you score exemption with fabulous marks in SFM. Thank you. Have a great day.